Training your triceps shouldn't be that complicated. In fact, all you really need are just 2 exercises. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you the 2 only exercises you need for your triceps. Now, the triceps consists of 3 muscles. This includes the lateral, medial, and long heads of the triceps. So does this mean we need 3 exercises for our triceps or 5 other variations? Not exactly. So let me explain why. The triceps' primary function is elbow extension, the process of straightening the arm. Also crosses along with the shoulder joint, which leads on to the first part of this video. What exercises best target the long head of the triceps? Now, as I previously mentioned, the long head of the triceps crosses with the shoulder joint. So the degree of activation for the long head of the triceps is going to be dependent on the elevation of the elbows and shoulders. And to pretty much dumb it down, the more you elevate your elbows, like so, the greater the stretch there is on the long head of the triceps, which will ultimately lead to an increase of muscle activation. Now, to put it in a more practical context, there's going to be a sweet spot in terms of how much you can elevate your elbows, so then that way you're optimizing the amount of load that you're putting on the long head, but also minimizing any kind of elbow and shoulder discomfort. And this can be done with my current favorite exercise, with the overhead single tricep extension with the cable machine. Now, Cobra, I thought you were a calisthenics guy. Why we out here doing weights? Man, I'm not gonna cap. I never ever stated that I only did calisthenics. From the videos that I posted, if you got the impression that I only did calisthenics, then you're gravely mistaken. In fact, I actually advocate for a more hybrid style training approach consisting of calisthenics, aka body weight, and also weights. But the foundation, right, the basis of my physique, specifically to the upper body, was primarily built upon calisthenics and weighted calisthenics. But for the lower body department, I'm going to have to give it to the weights. All right. So I have done some bodyweight movements for my legs, particularly like the Nordic curls, reverse Nordics. But the premise of my lower body pretty much came from just barbell squats, barbell RDLs, and so on. So I hope that clears things up and there's no confusion, because I'm not here trying to like spew some misinformation in terms of like, oh, you can get this physique with purely calisthenics. All right. If anybody tells you that, that's going to be a red flag, all right? But anyways, that being said, here's going to be the exercise setup. You want to bring the adjustment knob right below eye level, give or take. I find this the most comfortable position for my shoulders and elbows. Plus, it's easier to lift the handle without exerting too much force. Whereas if you have the adjustment knob at the bottom, the amount of effort you have to put just to start the exercise can get very annoying. That said, I find this perfectly hitting the deep ends of my long head, and because of the position of our elbows being in front of our bodies, this is putting our long head in a more favorable position. Now, I typically train this exercise twice a week with 2 working sets of 8 to 10 reps. Similar to this, for my calisthenics folks, you could do the bodyweight tricep extensions using either the bar, like the parallel bars, or the gymnastic rings. And the principle still applies. Because we have our elbows elevated, aka in front of our bodies, it's going to be putting the long head of the triceps in a more favored position. And with this position, there's no doubt in my mind that you won't feel a crazy stretch. Like literally, if you just hold that bottom position of the bodyweight tricep extension, you're going to feel the stretch on the tricep, like no cap, man. Now, moving on to the 2 other muscles that compromises the triceps are the lateral and medial heads. Now, this is only going to need 1 exercise, which will be the dips. This will be your main compound movement for your triceps. Whether you want to build a bigger chest or triceps, the dips are a great choice for both. In order to best target the lateral or medial head, we need to make sure we have an elbows position beside our bodies. And if you take a closer look at the dips, it does exactly just that. So here's the setup. I highly recommend to maintain a depressed scapular state, meaning you're pressing downwards on the bar to engage in a full elbow extension, which will force your triceps to work. Then having a slight protracted state in your shoulders is fine. This is more so to prevent any discomfort within the shoulder joint and collarbone. Now, before you come at me and say, in order to do a tricep bias dip, you got to have a upright chest and retract the scapula, cool. If you don't find any trouble performing this specific movement with retracted shoulder blades, chest sticking out, and have any kind of pain or discomfort, you go ahead and do that, all right? But me personally, and alongside many of other people, they say otherwise, especially whenever you take it to a next level and start adding weight to your dips. So in that case, I recommend to actually have a more slightly protracted scapula to kind of protect that shoulder joint and also minimize any kind of discomfort. And to be completely honest, man, the type of engagement that you're getting towards the chest or triceps between the two different variations, whether you're protracted or even slightly retracted, it's not going to be that big of a difference, especially if you're not pushing it to your fullest extent. So if you're out here doing it with retracted scapula, chest sticking out, and you feel in pain, you're not going to be pushing yourself to real failure. You're not going to be taking that progressive overload method. Whereas if you're doing it with the more comfortable position, with a protracted state, right, then you got the leeway to actually push yourself to failure without worrying about that discomfort in your shoulder or collarbone joint. So yeah, just grain of salt, man. I really get tired of people telling me, oh, I'm doing the dips incorrectly. Like, bro, y'all just don't know. Like, there's plenty of people out here who do weighted calisthenics, weighted dips specifically, to elite levels who have a more protracted state. And that's just because it's more safer on your joints, man. And if you don't know, you don't know. Trust. Now, that being said, as long as you obtain the standard depth of a slightly past 90-degree angle bend with your elbow and shoulder joint, placing your feet directly under your torso, the triceps will be perfectly engaged, specifically the lateral and medial head. And since this is a compound movement, you're going to be working the chest regardless, since the pectoralis major is a primary mover. That said, I train this exercise religiously twice a week, working within the 3 to 10 rep ranges. One day specifically for strength, meaning I'm putting higher loads and working within the 3 to 5 rep ranges. Then another day specifically for volume, where I'm using moderately heavy loads and working within the 8 to 10 rep ranges. Now, these rep ranges are just me, but I do recommend having both heavy and moderate days with your compound movements, because a multi-joint movement like the dips is best optimized when trained within each spectrum. Now, similar to that is going to be the closed grip bench press, which is, in my opinion, a great alternative to targeting the lateral and medial head of your triceps. But because I haven't really fully programmed this variant into my own personal split, I can't give my full advice and take on it just yet, at least. So it sounds good based off other content creators. It's a time-tested exercise, compound movement that works just like the dips. But in terms of like the key specific areas that difference between the dips and the close grip bench press, I just can't really put my take on it. So for me, it's really just a matter of preference, and I want to stick to my calisthenic roots. But hey, what do I know? If you like to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm the toughest fitness guy out here. No cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's number one out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.